Alright, so you can see we've got all kinds of new parts. I was just talking about the exhaust, but actually what I'm going to do first is the carburetor. There's a couple reasons for this. It actually comes with a little Nibbi carburetor in there. Well, you can see it or not. There we go. But it's a 19 millimeter carb, so it's definitely a little small for 150 engine. So we're going to put a bigger one on there, and you can actually feel it when you're running. Runs okay, runs strong, hits real hard off the bottom, which I'm actually hoping to reduce a little bit. It's actually a little bit ridiculous trying to run around following my kid on his little electric balance bike. So bigger carb should actually increase the horsepower, but I'm thinking it's going to take away from that hit on the bottom as well, which should be perfect because this thing, it also runs out of steam pretty quick. Real hard hit, great for coming out of the corner, you know, kind of like a motocross bike, like 450 or whatever, you know, perfect for like a racing scenario, but for cruising around, it's just a little too much. You know, it's not a very usable, you know, kind of power, so we're going to swap it out. Alright, so here's what I picked up. A lot of people go to the $30, you know, Amazon or eBay Mikuni copies. I think they're called VM22s. I didn't really have anything against it, but I just, for whatever reason, kind of felt like I was downgrading if I bought that, because it already comes with a, you know, a little bit more well-finished Nibbi carb. So I actually bought another one, and it's just a little bit bigger, and it looks sweet. Let's take a look, see what it comes with. So looks like we've got the little thermal spacer, a couple gaskets. Oh, it looks like it comes with some replacement. Looks like we got one different pilot and 3 different main jets. So we'll see what we need to what we end up with. So yeah, and then here it is. Let's take a look. So fit and finish looks pretty good. Not too big of any burrs or anything coming off of there. It's pretty well cleaned up. You can see that slide is highly polished. It looks like it's almost chromed. So that's nice and smooth, which will be nice for the throttle. You can see all these machine finish. You know, there didn't leave any burrs. It's actually you can actually see a little chamfer where they cut it. So it looks pretty good. Not any sharp edges or anything. The red anodizing's cool. I don't know what this is. Probably just a type 2 or type 3 or whatever. Black anodize on it. Looks like they might have even had to come back for a second pass on that for their advertising. So see how it goes. Let's pull it apart. So what does it say up here? Racing. This is the racing carburetor. So the reason I really like this carb is it's really easy to adjust. Those Mikunis are almost impossible. The fuel screws up under. The fuel screws up underneath, kind of underneath the bowl, and you can't even get at it. You can't adjust it. The idle screw is kind of hard. You got to replace that if you want a nice. So this is idle. Nice and easy to adjust right in the front, and the fuel screws right here. super easy to adjust as well. And the choke is just right here. So you pull it up, turn it on, and it's on, and you pull it down to turn it off, and you're done. No big fat lever sticking out in front, nothing like that. So yeah, it's just a nicer design. I like it a lot more than the VM22. You know, I mean, people might argue it's a better carb, and it might be. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. But this just seemed a little bit easier to work with. It's pretty much direct replacement for what I got, just a little bigger. Actually, it almost seemed like the same exact body on the thing. They just anodized it. Everything's the same except the opening, which we'll put an actual calipers on that. We'll double check it. But everything else looks pretty dang similar. It might be the same thing. It's just this one's bored out a little bit more. We'll find out. So we're gonna take this one out first. It's not too bad. A couple bolts here. Bolt on the intake boot, and then unscrew the slide. Pull your cable out of the slide, and then you know, your fuel and your little bowl drain right here. So the things that I'm going to watch out for on here is I'm going to double check to make sure that this manifold, I guess, matches up with the larger opening of the new carb. It would obviously make no sense to buy a bigger carb and then you've got a small opening here anyways. Makes no difference. The other thing I'm going to check is to make sure that these gaskets line up well and they're not restricting any airflow. And just make sure there's a nice smooth path for the air to go. And just looking at this, there's some pretty big overlaps actually on the bottom and the top, so it looks like it's sitting a little low, which I'm not sure how possible that is or not. But they're not perfectly lined up, so you know, it could be that you just loosen these and push it up and you can get a little gain just from better adjusting it, but we'll see how that lines up when we take it off. Alright, so we don't need very many tools. Just a screwdriver on this. We'll pull that one out. Loosen up this clamp. That's it. Nice and loose. Pull this little butterfly clip thing. Little retainer clip, spring clip thing. I'm sure you can figure that one out. The only thing is grab a paper towel or something, and before you pull it off, yeah, that way you don't get fuel all over. I always turn my fuel off before I'm done. Just one thing to remember. Okay, done with that. These are 8 on one side, and the bolt head is 8, and this nut is 10. So crack that loose and pull that off. I guess thinking about it, drain the bowl too. So put a catch under it or put a little towel or something that they don't hold that much. So you should be okay if you get most of it. Nice thing about gas is it dries up. So take a look at the other side. Excuse the garage. We're doing a lot of bathroom remodeling, camping. Garage has been the catch-all. Okay, so crack that one loose. touch that. I might put this down for a minute. Let me take those off. Alright, so those come off super easy. See that the carb suit is loose now. The only last thing is just take the top off, this cap, and the slide will just hang on the cable. So don't worry about that yet. There it is. I mean, I'm assuming I haven't taken quite a few carbs apart, but not this one yet. So you can see, just pulls out. So this carb, just like the other one, looks really nice. Nice polished slide. Nice cleaned out inside, polished surfaces, all contact surfaces. Let me pull this tube off. Actually, it comes with a new tube, so let's just see if we can pull that through. See, we got a little extra gas in there that didn't come out. That's okay. Alright, so here's this one. So let's put that over here. And now, you know, we've got the old cap and slide. It actually might be exactly the same, but it doesn't look as cool anyways, so we're going to take it off. So let's see what we got going on here. Oh, it actually has a size on there. Looks like NB40 9FC. So anyways, this isn't too bad. You can see the needle hiding down in there. So clip position it's on, but you can see the throttle cable, and it's got the little end on it. I don't know what the technical term is for it, but you basically have to pull this spring up. There's a million videos on how to do this. I definitely will not be able to do it with one hand. Pull this up, and then you can grab the cable, and then you just push it out a little bit, and then out and around, and it'll just come right on out. So if I had a tripod or something, I'd use that, but I don't. So let me pull this out real quick, and I can kind of show you how it works probably if I just yank the spring out. Alright, so I actually pulled the slide out of this one, and as expected, you can see right in the bottom, here's the new one, bigger, quote unquote bigger carb, 40 9FC, and just like I thought, 40 and 9FC. So they're identical. I don't know if the needles are identical yet. I'm not even sure I'm going to pull it all the way out, actually. I don't think it really matters at this point. I don't know how it runs yet. So I'm just going to leave it. But you can see here, I mean, if I knew I needed to move it, this would be the time to do it. Just pull that little spring retainer out, and then move that C-clip, and you can either make it so the needle goes down further to lean it out a little bit, or you put the E-clip down towards the bottom here a little bit, lifting it up, making your mixture richer. So I don't know where it needs to be yet, so I'm going to leave it alone. Alright, I did forget to mention, there is one trick to doing this, and it works really well, is grab some needle nose pliers and put it underneath this spring, and then pull the spring all the way up, and then squeeze that cable, and you'll be able to push it right out the bottom, nice and easy. So let me grab some pliers and take it off. Now, another thing to mention, also as suspected, let me grab, jeez, it's surprisingly dark over here. If we look at this side, see how crooked this is? So we're actually losing airflow. So it's starting at 19 millimeters, but it's so offset from the opening of that pipe that we're getting even less. So I would actually recommend, even if you don't upgrade, check this out, straighten it out a little bit, and you might get a little more airflow. And Let's actually check this. Still on, nice. Okay. So let's see, what do we got? Sorry, I've got these special Mitutoyos that have the offset. You can measure stuff that's not the same level. So, okay, move those down. Now we can spread these, give it a little wiggle, make sure you're all nice and straight, and oh, it actually tapers a little bit, it looks like, but I'll get it down as far as I can. So I'm seeing 21.15. There it is. Which I know it's not. You can actually, if you can tell, it tapers down towards the center a little bit. So the exit as well. It's hard to tell, but I think it matches. Yeah, the other side matches up perfectly. So it's, and you can also see here. See, it says PE, so I believe that's. I'm not sure actually. Kean style jets or something, but it says N19, so that stands for the 19mm opening. And this one, N24. So what I can tell on this one is it doesn't look like it tapers. It looks pretty much straight all the way through. So that is a little different. I don't think that really means anything. But the opening is quite a bit larger. Let's see if we can get side by side. So the actual mounting is the same. I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it's 46 or 48mm. But if you look from the top down, let's see, it is quite a bit larger. So hopefully that gets us. That's interesting too. So this one is a O-ring, the old one. I thought the new ones were as well, but it's not. So make sure that gasket's nice and straight. Not a big deal though. Interesting to note though that, oh no, it doesn't have a gasket. It goes straight from the O-ring to the little plastic spacer. So this one, that's why it comes with two gaskets. I need to put one on each side of this, and there's a little minor difference. Don't think it'll affect anything. So now let's pull these old ones off. See how stuck they are. There it is. So it doesn't look too bad. Shouldn't be any difference here. Let's see if they actually, yeah. So see, they actually fit this perfectly. Or even a little bit bigger. This looks like it's for a 26mm carb, if I had to guess. So if you did go to the VM22, I believe it's 26mm. But I'm not even sure I'm going to pull this off and measure it. I can tell just by looking at it that it's a lot bigger than the other carb. And then also I could hold this up, one of these gaskets. I'm going to grab a new one. It's got this little plastic spacer. I believe they call it a thermal spacer, to separate the engine heat from the carb. You don't want to boil your gas or make it too hot. So you can tell, if you can tell, that matches up perfect. So I don't even need to mess with this. which was also expected because from the research I was able to do, it looks like they actually sell the Pilot F-150 as a Supermoto edition, and it comes with bigger carb on it. As far as I could tell, it's the same piece. Everything else is pretty much the same. So I already kind of had a swag that it was the same, and it is. So, which is good news. I don't have to try to open that up or anything like that, or buy a new one. So now I just gotta take the slider off the rest of the way, grab some pliers, put the new one on, and bolt it in. And then this is literally a 5-minute job. If you're not trying to videotape it, which it's probably going to turn into a 10-minute job. Alright, so we can see we got the throttle cable hanging here. It's also super easy because I know I won't even have to adjust my throttle actually, because carb's the same size, slide's the same, everything's the same. So the only thing to remember here is put the top on. Put the top on first, the cap. Then run it through your spring through. This sits on top. The slide is a little spring seat. And then push it around and then let it hook up in. So I'm going to do that. And then we're pretty... Alright, so another little thing of note. I'm looking at this spacer. And you see these 4 marks. These look like the mold injection points, and unfortunately they are right around the sealing points, and they are not flat. So the gasket might make up for some of it, but I would recommend shaving those down a little bit. It's not very hard to do, but it's a little disappointing that and literally something that's made to be a nice surface around just the 2 sides. All they had to do was do some side injection ports. Now maybe there's a reason for it for the tooling, but I don't even know why there's 4. It's a pretty thick part. It's kind of seems a bit unnecessary. My guess is obviously the bigger and more ports you have, the easier it is, and maybe they had issues getting material to flow around these little thinner walls on the outside. I don't know. But I would shave these down to make sure that you don't end up with any air leaks, because if you have an air leak, it's going to make your life a big headache. And my guess actually right now is that I've seen one channel that I haven't really seen a lot of people buy this, but I did watch their videos. I'm not going to name them, but because I think they're really nice and all that. But I don't really think they knew. They're not super familiar with working on their bike, carburetors and tuning and etc. My guess would be that they had an air leak. But you never know. So I would cut these down, make sure that it's nice and flat, and then we'll put the gaskets on and bolt it back up. Alright, it's looking pretty good. Make sure you get your boot lined up. In the first video I did of the unboxing and stuff, the boot was just hanging off halfway. Probably would have leaked dirt in there. Another air leak scenario. Got the slide screwed in. I just need to tighten these up, but I was going to say you've got a little bit of squish with the gaskets, and technically the plastic's probably going to give a little bit, and aluminum's pretty soft. It's a pretty gritty surface, but I would still recommend put a little Loctite on those. I think it's kind of, I guess I'm going to take the chance that I don't need to actually take this thing right back out. But I read I read a few reviews, and people were saying that some of the people were saying it runs great right out of the box. So I'm going to go with that. And based on the fact that it's so similar to the other Carb, the needle is even in the same position in the slide. So I'm thinking it's going to run pretty dang close. So we'll roll with that for now. And, my house is at 5,000 feet. So, if anything, it'll probably just run a little rich. And I'd generally rather that than run too lean. So, we'll probably be okay. Alright, one video for both the fake carbon fiber exhaust. A lot easier to see outside. Looks pretty good. And a little Nibbi racing Carb. Looks pretty good though. Give it a first start, see how it goes. Quick update on the new Carb. Carb runs great now. I actually really like it. It doesn't seem to have any less bottom end hit, but it definitely pulls a lot longer. So I would recommend getting rid of that 19 millimeter Carb. It's a 150. It needs a little bit more air. So I ended up at a 108, so it came with the 112 as a main jet, and I put the 108 because it was bogging out. It was too rich on top, actually. I put the 108 in there, and it runs perfect all the way through. Idle's good, pulls good right off idle. No hesitation, just full throttle or half throttle, whatever you want, but all the way through the top. Even full throttle, no bogging, nothing, so it runs great.